talking in the community. So, you know, we're bringing all of that information to our assessment process. So, and we're not gonna, you know, be silly about it and saying all of this, but it's just kind of a checkoff list to make sure that we can stand behind our decision and that we can look at every resident and say, we made this decision because, and then we can catch it after that, but.
Well, it's
Yeah.
trying to please both parties.
Well,
And, you know, we all talked about it, that's not kidding, we've all talked about it. We, the people in the community brought up what they felt about it, we've kicked it around, you know, since time. I understand what you're saying, but I also understand the fact that I don't like to mislead people. And that's what that thing about, it's only temporarily, they're under full thought right now that this is gonna continue. And if it is, so be it. But if it isn't, then it should have been dealt with. I just don't think that should have ever been put in there about this is temporarily out of order. You know, you could have put it in there that it's shut down until, for further advisement, or until further we assess it, for further assessment or something. But to sit down and say it's temporarily out of order because of Oak Wilt, that opened that door.
Now, suspended is different from shut down.
yeah, yeah,
Suspended has different meaning.
But wasn't there, in the statement that was put out in the e-news that was sent out, did it not say that we were assessing the course during the closure?
I know every email that I've answered that people have asked, that's what I've said. We are going, as the commission, we are going to be assessing all the park, all the activities, including disc golf, and making a final decision. But right now, it really was suspended because of Oakville, because we haven't voted on it. We haven't brought it up and voted on it.
It's just temporarily out of order.
Yeah, and it's accomplished what we need in the short term, which is they're not playing. So that we are not, you know, none of the negatives are occurring right now. And I really think that we have our work session, we get that assessment done, we bring our conclusions of our assessment to the next meeting, we vote on it. It's done then at that time.
I agree, but let's do it at the next work session, let's get it over with.
Okay.
One way or another, let's get it over with.
So, do I have a motion to approve the communication letter with the additions and corrections that we made?
No, I don't see the problem.
Okay, a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, sports and shorts. We were able to get, exceed the $1,500 required on private donations in order for Eastern Park to sponsor sports and shorts. So I'm very, very happy about that. So now the thing is to communicate to the residents that the how and when to sign up. Bob Switzer has sent me it's just on email, you know, that we can post around. And so the sign up isn't until June 1st, so we have a little while, and if we can get this letter out now, you know, in the next week, then that will again be something that will inform people. And then they have all of their normal communication throughout, you know, the libraries and things like that, but we need to get it out to churches, here at the hall, any businesses, you know, the White Duck, whatever, you know, to get those posted in anything. So I do have, and just, I can either just sign the thank you notes, the Park and Recreation Commission, or as we're done, we can just pass them by and all of us just write our first names, and then maybe Mary, if you'd write Lynn's name on there. It would be a little bit more personal, but if people would prefer not to have their first names on it, I can just write Park and Recreation Commission. So what's the preference? I move we all sign them individually then. There we go. You probably couldn't tell that that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Is anybody opposed to it? Okay, I don't think it has to be a motion necessarily. Okay. Any other questions or discussion on sports and shorts?
This Bob is gonna keep you informed, or at the end of the season, we'll see how many children and
Right, well,
we'll have the data for next year and so forth.
yes, and part of the assessment,
Activities sort of thing.
yeah,
That'd
part
be
of
fun.
the assessment that I
Yeah.
was going to suggest is that we kind of take turns as the commission to kind of come out every once in a while and just see how it's going, and if we have permission from the parents, we can take some pictures, that would be a nice thing. And then if it doesn't turn out to be everything we hope it to be, then we can use that information for a decision next year.
Right, that's
Yeah.
the way I feel would be right to do it.
Okay. So the next agenda item is rental of the second pavilion. We had talked about that before. We had already budgeted to have water run to that. And we talked about keeping it at $25, both equal in the $25 and not raise the rates at all for this year, seeing we had already started collecting for the first pavilion.
Well, I think I spoke with Mary or Sally at one time, and they said that they rented the one hall 26 times last year. And certainly if we could rent this, and there was people got turned away, if I'm not correct, Mary, that people did get turned away.
Well, from the first one, but just,
Right.
we always tell them
Yeah,
the second one's first.
But now if
one
the
first.
second one is open, then probably less people would be turned away, is that correct?
However, because you haven't started the pavilion rental immediately for
Right.
the second one, there are some people that have already been told the second one's available, first comes, first served, so if two people reserve the pavilions those days, that might cause a conflict.
Well, if they've reserved it, I would say they're the first ones first, and we will have it in the communication letter, and we will have it in our minutes. Then potentially, Marcia could put it in the e-news as well.
You know, I've always found that people, you know, I had people that used to come to me, and we had one picnic shelter that was a free one like that. And they came and requested to us, can you make this a rental? Because they would much rather know when they're planning a picnic that they've got it locked down than to say, you know, first come, first serve. You know, you're planning a picnic, everybody shows up and somebody's already there. You know, they would much rather pay the $25 and know that they've got it locked down, so.
And in an ideal world, this would have taken place 2 months ago, but, you know, we've been marching along here trying to get as much done as we can, so it's still early in the season, and,
Yeah.
Well, I think it's bound, I already rented one, we know that, I rented one. And I did last year, we rented again. I just think it would be an addition to have the second one available too, why not, you know?
we could put up a
Get the
bigger,
water out there and make it a decent place, and it's bound to help us, you know, help the people of the community.
Now, what do we do about getting water out there?
We gotta run a line probably from that
That's-
first
Yeah, but
one,
who
That's
does
number
this?
four.
from the first one out to the second one, it's gotta be, there's a little bit of a catch right here, since this Flint water thing. You know, now that, and you know, we touch on the type of piping you use and stuff like that, so that's something we're gonna have to,
So are we hiring somebody?
oh
to
yeah,
do
you're gonna
this?
have to hire Don.
Okay.
Let's finish number 3 here,
Yeah.
because that's the next item on the list, so
Sure.
let's
Yeah.
go ahead and lock this down.
so, any other discussion on whether we should or should not rent the second pavilion? If,
Well- Okay, it doesn't have water now, the other one does, so whoever pays $25 is getting one with no water.
well, then they have to
That's
shut
right, that's what
until
I
we get it done.
bring it up and have them both.
So maybe at the point that we get water, then we
Yeah.
can,
I just-
Oh, yeah.
Say-
No, I would just,
It's,
Sure. I don't think
say
punching
let's
the line
make it
out there is gonna be a
$25
big
right
deal.
now, and we'll get the water when we get the water. They do have electricity out there.
oh, okay.
And they
And so
have to carry
it's
it.
still worth, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's still
They'll
worth
just bring in a
25.
trencher and run it, I'm sure they'll run it with a trencher.
Hmm.
The new piping is not cheap, I think they said around $14.50 a foot
Yeah, well then.
to put it in,
Yeah,
that's
put it
labor and,
out there.
that's labor and everything,
Yeah,
to run it in.
whatever we
To
have.
put it in there and get it out there, but
Yeah.
you had about $4,500 to get it out there with this new style piping and, you know, it would be.
Well, okay, let's vote on renting the second pavilion then.
Okay, I make a motion that we, add the second pavilion as a $25 rental, like the first one.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, now, the next agenda item is getting the water to the second pavilion and water testing. I can't remember who picked up the budget for this, but we put it in the budget, and so hopefully got the correct amount.
I had asked my boy what it runs, and he told me that's what it's gonna run. You get prices, if anybody you wanna get it from, I have no problem with that,
But what?
they said it's running this year about $14.50 a foot
Okay,
to run her in there, and I taped it out myself, and it would come to about $4,500.
okay, but that's not the amount that was quoted for the.
That's running that from one building to the second building, the water line.
Okay, I don't have the budget in front of me, that doesn't.
That's what we put on the
Is
budget.
it? Oh,
Yeah, I think
okay,
I'm
well,
pretty sure
cool.
that's what it was.
Okay, well then that's
It's in
great.
the budget.
So, is there,
Okay, do we get quotes, like from Meyer and Central? Yeah, I looked them up today.
It's not a well, you're not putting in a well, you're
No,
just
but they
strictly running a
do,
line.
can we get a plumber to do it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you can find, I couldn't find.
I don't know, plumbers, you basically, excavators are what do it, you know, run them in, like they run water lines to your house and from the streets and all this sort of stuff, that's basically who does it.
And they have the license in
Oh, yeah,
Davis?
yeah, they got all
Okay,
that stuff.
all right.
But
I
then
know
you
nothing about
gotta
that.
have that plus, you know, the water testing, you know, which is no
Well,
big
we
deal.
got
You have to have,
we
they
already
gotta run
got-
a
We've
permit.
got the bottles already.
Sue and I got the
We just
bottles
need
for
the
that.
water.
Yeah, you might even have to have a permit, but I'm sure that'd be included in it to run it out there.
Hmm.
But
Okay, so.
like I said, just be
Mary,
careful
can you
because of
help
this,
us? Oh, I'm sorry.
this new stuff in Flint.
Mhm.
You know, all of a sudden, there's really a look at this stuff, so we wanna do it right, you know.
Absolutely. Mary, can you help us out here? Do you know, do we need to get quotes, or do we just go with the person who gave us the quote for the original?
I think you're supposed to have three
Three quotes?
quotes always when you can.
Okay.
Who does the township use for the hall here? Like if you have difficulties
His name
here?
is Randy Smith.
Oh, from
Yes.
But he sold Holly Green.
He still
But he
still does stuff for us.
working on the
however,
side.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's one quote, and who would be your,
I
Well,
don't know, like I said, my son said about $4,500.
no, but I don't know, I can't write her son down. Is that your oldest son or your youngest?
No, I only got one of them on the breast. No, ultimate
okay, so
excavator.
Randy Smith.
You might get one from Mike Thomas, he's a local excavator, Mike,
Mike
keep it in the
Thomas.
neighborhood, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And who's the local person you just said?
Mike Thomas possibly, Mike, me too.
There's Myers.
Well, if we only need three, let's just keep it simple.
Oh, well, Meyer, he's a well driller, but I mean, I'm sure he can run pipe.
well,
But if we have Randy who already works here, and then the ultimate, is the one that we got the quote for the
Yeah,
budget,
and
and then
that
if we
should
do
be-
Mike Thomas, that should probably be enough.
Okay, so who's the other one?
Your son, who
Ultimate,
works for Ultimate Excavator?
Ultimate.
Yeah, he owns it.
Oh, well,
Okay.
there you go.
Okay,
Ultimate.
so do we have a volunteer that can, will have the time that can get these three quotes in, pretty fast? So we can get on their agenda?